Here we are on the Thaymount. And since Sophia's been out of the party for a while, let's have a chat with her and see if she has anything to say.
I realize that dreams are a rather personal subject. However, if you're willing, I'd like to hear about the dreams you had with the Coven. What were the dreams about?
Okay, so let's talk about them in order.
Interesting. This reinforces Leanna's part in the puzzle, even if it provides no answers. What happened in this dream?
We're talking about the dream of the hostile audience, basically. And the important line, really, is this demi-lich dragon, the Celestial, told they would await return.
That's a curious trio. Those are three creatures that rarely get along. I wonder if they were images of actual beasts or figurative symbols.
And we'll talk about taking the part of the betrayer.
Merkel, the old god of the dead. Kellenborn now rules in his place.
And we can remember that the audience attacked us.
Thespians can be so disagreeable. I wonder if their attacks were part of the play or due to your acting.
If I could lose influence with Sophia, I would lose influence with Sophia based on that. All right.
What were the dreams about?
We can talk about Bishop, who we found in the wall.
A wall of souls. Who was this companion of yours?
And there's a wisdom option here, so I always use those whenever they're available.
I have dreams, nightmares, really, of that wall. There's a sensation of being stretched, and an unending scream, one long composite scream of men, women, children. I don't know what to tell you, other than it haunts me. I don't know exactly what it is, or why I dream about it, or why you saw it too. I'd rather just talk about some other aspect of your dream.
And you can kind of push her about it, but we'll just be polite.
You are most welcome. So, as for the rest of what you saw in the dream?
Well, let's talk about the wizard in red.
Really? Was she me? Did she recognize you? Call herself Sophia? And what was Ahriman doing there?
Well, we don't catch her name, but I think Gan pointed out she was not Sophia, but...
The only person I know who looks anything like me is, well, my mother. What would she be doing in your dream?
And this is not the only red woman we've seen. And in fact, the vision of the hags showed us Nephris and Leanna actually looked a lot like Nephris. Is there a, given that all our party members are, half something, is there some other fractionating going on here? Well, getting back to the dream, the woman talked about Ahriman hunting her.
That sounds oddly fitting. If you were dreaming of my mother, Ahriman wants her dead.
Okay, and we can mention that Ahriman called me his brother.
What? Brothers? How could you be related to that murdering... Of course, it was merely a dream. There is often no connection between slumbering thought and waking reality.
Yeah, that's probably just wishful thinking on her part. And, we can talk about Ahriman saying that he stood with the betrayer.
That epithet, betrayer. I know I've heard that before, but I can't place the memory.
Alright.
What were the dreams about? Thank you for sharing all of that. I was curious about what you saw. It seems my mother and Ahriman are both part of this puzzle, though I can't imagine how or why.
Okay. And that gets Sophia to 100 influence. Doesn't really matter. I think 75 is actually all you need, but she's at cap. These dancing lights above us are actually non-hostile fire elementals. They're there for just feeding or suppressing purposes. I might make use of them later once I spend some spells. There are enemies in this area, and they're, as you can see, they're Academy Elite Guards. So, let's get started on fighting them. They are just high-power physical enemies. They're not particularly scary, frankly. But for a bunch of gnolls, they're pretty strong, given that gnolls are supposed to be fairly weak enemies. And joyfully they use knockdown. Oops, I don't want to target him. There are also quite a few of them. Not a whole lot. They don't have very strong saves, so I can use some of my weaker spells on them. But they do hit pretty hard, and they are quite accurate. So they are getting through my images fairly easily. I'm going to try and avoid that little embarrassment with the trolls and just chug down a healing potion. Yay, more money. Last thing I needed. And they're all over the place here. The gates, actually storming the gates is sort of interesting because there's I'll actually show that on screen. There are a couple more wyverns up here. I'm just going to kill them off screen. These maverick fire elementals are just useful for suppressing and resting, so I'll do that off screen as well once I've used up some spells killing wyvern. Getting started again. These two right at the entrance here, they're exactly the same as the guys I just fought, and I'm just going to pull them away and fight them off screen. I don't know how well you can see this, but the next guy I can target here is up on one of the towers on the wall. Fortunately, he is still targetable with spells, and he doesn't come charging out at us, so we're just going to pound him with stuff and watch him die.
Of course.
Unfortunately, you can't knock the door down. You have to actually go up and open it, which I don't want to do because I don't really want to be at melee range with any of these enemies. And moving up, we can see there's another guy in the tower. I'll just snipe him out. I like how they try to cast the Cure Light Wounds. Like that's gonna save you. And then you get to... Oh, and there's another guy crept up, and the Academy Guard Captain. The Academy Guard Captain, I think the reason why these enemies sometimes show up with not at full hit points is that they have equipment which gives them a bonus to hit points, and the game spawns them, but it spawns them without the equipment and then adds the equipment later, so that they end up not being at full health because they didn't have their equipment. I'm not going to actually try and bull rush with Forceful Hand the guard captain because I expect he's going to make any strength-based save. And unfortunately, a lot of the spells I have for sort of crowd control types are also fort saves. So we're going to stick to the good old-fashioned Sunburst. Which didn't work. He got a 20. We'll just try it again, because the chance he's going to make 2 in a row are fairly low. And I have to recast some images. And here they are wandering around like idiots. So, this fight is basically over. But this Academy Guard Captain is not a... I mean, he has 400 hit points. I'll just kill these guys off screen. I mean, they're not going to put up a fight. They're blind. They can't find me. After killing the guard captain, I walked into this area behind the first gate to try and, clean up before going back on screen. And I forgot about this. It actually locks you into this area. It's not a special lock. You can just break it with the knock spell. But I guess they were trying to trap you in there with the guard captain. And that's not really a very dangerous threat, given that he was once blinded, kind of a pushover. Anyway, that's it for the exterior and the Thaymount. Next time, we'll go inside the Academy.